and was very surprised to see a week later booked in auction 380. It was brought to me by Property Sourcer. I offered 350.
And then they're left in the very capable hands of Oliver, who's going to come along and say, not that I told you so, but I'm still here to get a deal done.
I'm going to be controversial and say I think it will sell. And I know that that will upset you because you wanted to pick it up at a really good price, but
you have to return to the lender 100% of the uplift in sale price.
Watch the recording back. Did Saif say it was going to go unsold, or did he say 35? Welcome back to another episode of Property Auction Hunters. We are joined by special guest Oliver Adams, all the way from the Northwest. It took a lot of persuasion to bring him down, but luckily we've got him here and he's bought some great auction lots. Welcome.
Thank you, Saif. Pleasure.
Cool, so we are going to get right into it. So Oliver's brought 2 auction lots for us from the Northwest as well, close to his hometown. So we're going to get straight into it.
Hi guys, Oliver Adams, ex-auctioneer, used to work for Auction House for over 20 years, and now I'm a full-time property trader. And today I've brought you 2 properties from auctions across the Northwest, one being a 2-bed maisonette, mortgagees not in possession, several risks and restrictions on this property, and the second one is a 4-bed detached family home on a very, very desirable estate in the heart of Leyland. 4-bed, currently arranged as a 3-bed, but my particular interest in this is I have tried to buy it prior to auction, so very keen to see what happens when it hits the auction room on the day. Guys, so the first property that I've picked today going to auction is 88 Langdale Road in Leyland. Just so happens to be my hometown. Going to be sold by auction 14th of February with Auction House Northwest. It's a standard estate house, relatively modern, probably 80s build, guide 380,000. So at first glance it actually doesn't look very exciting in many ways, but the main reason I've picked this property is that I tried to buy it before it went to auction. That was when it was off market at the time. So for me personally, it'll be very interesting to see how this performs at auction, as I don't see it as a particularly good type of property to be sold at auction. So what I liked about it initially was that it was built as a 4-bed detached, and the sellers, for their own reasons, while they occupied the house, have knocked one of the walls down upstairs and turned it into a 3-bed. So I think that does limit the interest from the sort of owner-occupier market. People will want it back reinstated as a 4-bed. It's had a new kitchen put in. The rest of the house is a little bit dated, so there is some added value benefit there. When I did the due diligence on the house, it'd been up for sale for 550. Had a sale agreed, sale had fallen through. Sellers then changed agents, went on with a different agent, dropped the price. They'd found a property to move into at this point, didn't want to lose that, so they moved. Property is now empty. Do I disclose what I offered? Do you want to know what price I offered?
That's the juicy stuff.
So it was brought to me by Property Sourcer. I offered 350,000 for a quick completion. Got on with the seller as well. Quite confident that the deal was going to come off, and was very surprised to see a week later it booked in auction at 380. So that's the history and story. I don't think it will sell at auction. I hope it doesn't sell, but I don't think it will. Not a great auction lot. Type of buyer is likely to be end user, family. Logistically very difficult for them to buy and complete under auction terms. Children, packing up, moving, time off work, whatever. And finance as well. You know, they will need either bridging finance or cash available. So I don't think it will sell. That gives me an opportunity to buy post-auction, hopefully for less than what I initially offered, the 350. But there could be someone out there that wants to buy it in a ready, willing and able place. So it'll be an interesting.
I like seeing properties like these in auction because they smell opportunity, because this is not, as you say, someone who's going to be an investor, a developer. It doesn't appeal to those kind of people, and the people it does appeal to, they don't have that ready access and opportunity to get hold of it. So you, as much as hoping it doesn't sell, I think you're right, I don't think it's going to sell. And I think that will open up a channel for you to go back and try and get a deal done. But this is just this is an example of people moving and acting out of desperation, where they think that they can wrangle an extra £5,000 or £10,000, and all they end up doing is ruining the reputation of the property. Because when this goes unsold, that is basically the whole marketplace saying it's not worth this money. And then they're left in the very capable hands of Oliver, who's going to come along and say, not that I told you so, but I'm still here to get a deal done. I think as much as it can be a negative thing, and probably not something you enjoyed, being rejected. No one likes a bit of rejection, but I think this one will come back. It'll be like the ex that just never ever leaves you.
I hope so. There's a good auctioneer behind it. It is a very desirable location. It's right next to a very sought after college. Parking's a premium in that area. Students will often rent driveway space for a number of £1,000s a year. So there's a lot of things going for it. It's just down to whether there is a buyer in the marketplace on that day looking for that type of asset in that location, in that price range, that is ready, willing and able on that day. So a lot of it is down to luck.
I'm going to be controversial and say I think it will sell. And I know that will upset you because you wanted to pick it up at a really good price. But, auctions favour the brave in terms of the guide price. The seller, if they'd have put the guide price lower, I think they'd have had floods of people coming to view this. At 380, it's attractive. It's not as attractive as if it was guided at 350. And we don't know what the reserve is. But if we're assuming the reserve is 10% above guide, it's probably still cheap for the area. And the reason I've gone with this opinion, I don't know the area that well, but it sounds like quite a desirable area for people to want to buy a family home. This property, depending on the amount of time to exchange and complete, people may be able to come up with finance. It might be tricky, but you could get some bridging. There might be a lender. This is not financial advice, but there might be a lender that would come in and finance this transaction. And I think it's at the level where someone might just pick it up at reserve and annoy you a little bit. So I'm going to stick my neck out and say I think this is going to sell for about 420.
Interesting. So you believe that guide price is discounted enough from the open market value to force someone's hand to gear themselves up to buy at auction?
Because you want a 25-30% discount on open market value, and I think someone else who wants to live in this area would be happy with a 10-15% discount on market value, assuming market value is 500 grand. So just an opinion, guys, just an opinion. I hope you're wrong. There we go. Piotr, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing that I would never look at because it's in Lancashire and something even like at 380 in Lancashire.
What's wrong with Lancashire?
It's great. It sounds like you can buy houses there for 50k. Why would you spend 380? So, but with that kind of local knowledge that you have, knowing that there is this college, there is this kind of market for parking spaces even there, that gives you definitely kind of the insight into what's possible of this property, and I don't think many people from outside the area are going to have that insight. So, and then it is really a matter of whether this property will have that one person, because I believe this is a one-person race. This is not going to be a competition between 2 or 3 people.
I agree.
Whenever even we're selling a property that's really nicely done up, the first thing we say to the sellers is that this is not an auction lot. Like, you really need to give it to us cheap for us to bring someone possibly to the table, maybe 2 people on a really, really good day, and then maybe they're going to buy it at around the reserve price. But that's the only reason why you're choosing the auction. It's not to get the maximum value, because the maximum value is with agents who they're going to bring people in, they're going to show you around, they're going to show you this, and they're going to tell you about this. In the auction, you don't get that. You just get the details, legal part, you make your offer, and that puts a lot of people off, and it's going to cost a lot of money in finance, bridging costs, 2% arrangement, 1% a month, say for 6 months, that's 8% on top of the price that you have to pay for this, just to get this under your belt. So
plus fees,
and now I believe the reserve would be around 420. So I think this is not selling.
Okay. There's another interesting dynamic in this particular location as well. Although it's currently arranged as a 3-bed, it is logistically 4-bed. There's a huge amount of new build development within a quarter of a mile of this area. Leyland's an old industrial town. A lot of that industry's gone, shipped overseas or whatever, and all those estates are now being developed and built out. So there's 3 or 4 major new build sites, Redrow, Barratt, some of the big national PLC builders. You can go to those sites now, buy 4 and 5 bed detached, everything brand new, no work needed whatsoever, for around the 4 to 450 mark for that sort of accommodation. Yeah. It's not that premium location, that premium address, but it's within 5 minutes of there. So I think that if you are a buyer and you're in that market to spend that amount of money, buy that type of asset, if you were given the choice of buying that at auction or a brand new build with all the incentives that they're now offering, stamp duty paid, carpets, gardens prepped, prepared, everything done, if I was that buyer, I wouldn't take a risk buying that at auction.
Yeah. So I'm going to go a bit further and just say this is not selling in the auction and you're buying this at 315.
315?
Wow. I think
I'll buy you a drink.
So I think this is why the likes of modern methods like I'm Sold are created. This is the middle ground where it's not really an auction lot, but you want to attract the buyers that you're going to get a commitment from and maybe get an upfront fee from, but you give them the 56 days to exchange. And I think this is where, not necessarily as a trader to use that, but as a seller, as a vendor, this is where they use things like I'm Sold and stuff like that, is for this kind of asset personally, because it opens up finance. So you're getting a cheap lot and you're able to finance it, which is the best win-win. However, I don't think personally it will sell at auction. I don't think it will get to reserve. I think they'll have a few bids on it, whether they're genuine bids, I don't know, but I think they'll have a few bids on it. I don't think it'll get to reserve. The reason why I know this property, and we're talking off camera a bit about it, is because I had a lead from a new build developer, 5 beds and 6 beds, so executive houses in this area.
What's that say?
Don't know, can't remember his exact name, but I'll look at it afterwards because I've got the lead actually. But he was looking at, and you could probably see them if you go on Rightmove and you see it. He was looking at I think they were on the market from anywhere from 550 to 650 executive houses, lovely houses. And I was looking at this when it was on the market at 550 as a bit of a comp. I think it was SSTC at the time. So that's kind of why I know it. But I personally don't think it will sell at auction. This could be something that if they had even a few legal pack downloads and stuff like that, and they put the legwork in to call those people, maybe try and negotiate a 56-day completion post-auction or something like that, that's where I think it might be. But even if they don't get that, then they're probably going to be coming back to you anyway. So yeah, I just don't think the 350 offer will be on the table post-auction.
But I think 2 points to pick up on. The first is that we can see from this auctioneer's website that there's nobody watching this lot.
Yeah.
So that's point number 1, which finds R4 in favour. Sorry, Omer. And the second is, following Oliver's insight that it's been knocked through as a 3-bed, they're marketing it as a 4-bed.
Yeah.
So there may be someone may decide to go and view it and then go, well, this isn't 4 beds, this is 3. And then people talk themselves, well, I have to put a wall up, I've got to do this, that and the other. And all of a sudden, the pre-packaged 3 bedrooms a quarter of a mile away that you can just roll into on a Sunday morning and move in, it becomes so much more attractive.
I do agree. I think the spread between what the new builds are selling, or even the kind of second-hand stock versus open market versus the auction, the spread is not far enough to actually get an auction sale.
You kind of just have to hope that this build is a bigger square foot with a nicer garden and closer to other amenities that bring that attraction, that even if the pricing is the same, there is an element of desirability that separates it from the new build stock. And that's really the only margin that you're creating there, right?
There's one thing you've all missed, which is why I have a different view on this.
No.
It's not that it backs on this lovely park.
It's being sold on Valentine's Day.
No, it doesn't, it's not that one. This is auctions. Okay, this is being sold at an auction. People come along and they look at this, they think they're going to buy it at 380. They don't understand the reserve is at 420. People get emotionally attached. They spend money with a solicitor reviewing the legal pack. They go and view it. They bring their parents to view it, their grandparents to view it. And then when it comes to the day, and they've written down on a bit of paper, 390 is their maximum bid, They get all emotionally attached and they bid until it sells at 420. So I'm going to stick my neck out and say this is selling.
Justify the way you work.
Let us know.
Just for context, right? You're sitting on a table with someone who managed that specific auction company for nigh on 20 years.
And lives around the corner from that house.
So when the man sits here and says, not a chance in blue blazing hell is it selling, you kind of have to breathe into it a little bit and go, maybe he's got an inkling here.
We shall see.
What do I know?
We shall see.
Nothing. I'm a has-been. I never was.
Let us know in the comments, what do you think this property is going to sell for at auction? We'd be really interested to know your thoughts.
Brilliant.
Interesting. Cool. Right, guys, so the second property that I've highlighted, again, it's northwest of England's Fylde Coast, Lytham St, posh bit of Blackpool, if you like. It's flat 3, 13 St Anne's Road, 2-bed maisonette, upper floors. Guide price for auction, 35,000. Auction house northwest, being sold on Valentine's Day, 14th of February. So it could make a lovely gift for someone at that sort of price range. That entry point, cheaper than a car. So the reason I was attracted to this one, the multiple reasons I like this property. One is it's already been to auction and failed to sell. So I like to follow properties that have gone to auction a second time to see how the auctioneer deals with a re-entry to auction. Did they market it differently? Did they present it differently? Or did they just chop the price down? This particular one, they've just lowered the guide by 5,000. No change to details or description. So it is just a price point thing. What was particularly interesting about this is that it's being sold by mortgagees not in possession. So there's an element of risk there for the buyer. The main one being is that it is occupied on occupancy unknown. So it's currently unknown whether it's vacant possession or whether someone is in occupation. That person could be there illegally, could be squatting, could be a tenant from the previous landlord, or it could be someone the borrower could have moved in there themselves. So there's quite a substantial risk there from the buyer's side. No internal details at all, so you've got no internal photographs, you've got no idea of the condition, you've got no access for viewings prior to auction, again, so an element of risk. I did look through the various websites that we've got access to see if there was any prior marketing history, and the last time this property was marketed was 10 years ago, and that was when it was up for rent. And the photographs then the internals were very dated. In my view, it needed a full refurbishment, and they were the letting details as well. So it was dated when it was last let 10 years ago. The other interesting thing about this, I want to buy this. I would like to have bought this, but something put me off when I saw who the lender was. The lender has put a restriction on a resale. So if you purchase this property and resell within 12 months, regardless of what value you may add or what you may have spent on it, you have to return to the lender 100% of the uplift in sale price. So put it into raw figures, you buy that for 35 grand, let's say you spend 10 grand on it, let's say you then sell it for 55 grand, you still have to give that lender that 20 grand uplift back. And believe me, I know from personal experience, it hurts, having bought one before from this lender.
How much did you make on that one that you bought?
I call it, how much did I lose? There's a slight difference of opinion there, but I suppose...
How much did you think you make?
On resale, there was an uplift of 20 grand. I carried out some refurbishment works to the property, put a tenant in there as well, so there was an element of added value. That, of course, was with a view to me selling it, add the value, put a tenant in, sell it to an investor, which I did, and then found out, shock horror, I've got to return all that money. So
you actually lost the refurbishment money plus the potential
profit? Lost the refurbishment money, that's gone. Lost the profit, 100% profit, gone.
Is that including all the fees and costs and everything, or is it literally just on the actual purchase to sale price?
Contract price.
Contract price, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder, this is an interesting case because Yeah, I know it's a special condition. It's something that's been put into the contract by whoever.
Not actually in the contract,
not
so it's not mentioned in the contract of sale or special conditions at all. It's in the land registry
Transfer doc.
transfer TR1 document, and it is there. It's black and white, but it's not the first place you look when you're buying something at auction.
So basically, it's like an overage agreement,
For 12 months.
but not advertised anywhere else. Or not. So I wonder, because one of the things that is very recent is how those bridging lenders, not really, like how bridging lenders, they charge penalty rates. For example, if you go over 6 months and you had 6 months rent, then they charge you like double, triple. They charge like 4 or 5% a month. Yeah. So it's been just ordered in the High Court. There's been a judgment saying that this is a penalty interest, and penalty they cannot charge penalties. Unfair contract term, and basically they're made to disclose what the costs are, what those things are, to basically then justify what the actual default rate should be, and those are usually much lower than what they charge. So this is a very similar thing. Plus there is a material information from the auctioneer. They should have disclosed that something like that is in the tier 1, especially that it's in the tier 1, not even in special conditions or somewhere else. So this is not a fee. This is like and it's not even
It's a penalty.
justifiable. It's a penalty, and also it's not based on reality of you sold it for 55 or whatever, 60, whatever, but you had to spend money and you had to put the tenant in. So how do you justify that added value that made you get the 55k? So I would fight it.
Yeah.
I fight every single parking ticket. This is a special.
But seeing as you've just mentioned that, what do you think then? Will it sell? Will it not sell? What do you think it'll sell for?
I don't know the area. I think this is...
Just to put it into context, there's one on the market, very similar, but obviously just open market, it's a normal sale, at 90k off the top of my head, open market.
And that's a 1-bed.
And that's a 1-bed.
This is a 2-bed.
Okay, so it's definitely selling for 56,000.
Interesting. Okay. Even factoring in, it went unsold last month.
Oh, it did go unsold.
No, you can't change.
This is unfair term. This is an unfair term.
So just on that point, I did say it went unsold.
Okay, I didn't get that.
I think this will go sold. This will sell this time round, but I think it might sell post-auction. And I think the problem that we're getting a lot with mortgagees in general, whether it's in possession or not in possession, is that they're going off whatever RICS survey or valuation they're getting, and they're sticking very, very tight to that. But I'm seeing now that after the second time, maybe even the third time that they're going unsold, they're starting to be a bit more lenient within maybe 5-10%, not too far. But I think this might sell post-auction personally, maybe for around anywhere between maybe 30 to 35. The only thing I would say, would I buy this myself? I would, and I'll absolutely front load the special conditions and sell it for as cheap as I can. Because you said that they don't actually go after the frictional cost, they only go after the contract price sale.
Well, that's very interesting, Saif, because they cover that.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the TR1 again.
Oh, they cover it? Okay.
I looked at the legal pack for this last night because there is obviously, on a lower value lot, there is an avenue to make a margin on your recoveries, as you describe. But they've now got a clause in there where on your resale, they are factoring in any recoveries over and above your actual costs. And that is in the legal pack now.
Quick question, when they demanded the money from you on the one that you lost money on, how did they do the demand? What was it that you actually received?
I'll be honest with you, I let the solicitors deal with it initially to try and defend as well and knock it back, throw it back, to say our clients added value. We went down the route of going after the auctioneer for a period of time. It hadn't been disclosed in the special conditions. It hadn't been disclosed in their marketing. It is an unfair contractual term. They would have been aware of that restriction in there. It's their client. They're acting for their client. And you've got to take a balanced view, or I do take a balanced view for the loss that was made and the inconvenience and the embarrassment as well. I got it wrong. I have to admit, I got it wrong. versus being able to make that money back by spending my time on more trading, more deals. What does my time cost? Am I better off spending the next 6 to 12 months fighting that through the courts, through whatever other avenues are out there, or am I better off just cracking on, buying some more stock, selling it, making that money back, moving on?
And it makes you a better trader, doesn't it? The losses, they are the ones that...
They sharpen your focus.
Absolutely.
They educate you. Yeah. They educate you faster than any other way.
I would still fight it just as a hobby.
I'll sell you the case.
Sell Piotr the debt.
I'll sell you £5,000. And you can have it all.
I mean, these things are brilliant because, as you say, it's the losses that actually teach you these things. I mean, this is still a very good deal because if you're doing buy, refurbish, and refinance, or you're just building a portfolio, and you don't intend to sell it. This only really affects traders, right?
Correct.
And you only really expect. And one of the reasons why this snuck right under the radar, not just because it was in the TR1. But you only really expect to find overage clauses or anti-embarrassment clauses in development projects. You come across that. So you kind of look at it and you think, it's a flat. Why would there be an overage on a flat? And it's got 999 years less 120 years or whatever is on there. That's not something that should be in your field of vision. But now, when you know that you're dealing with that lender, that you're expecting that. I still think that the risk of the not in possession where the person who's been repossessed has moved in, or they've moved their aunt in, or something like that, I think that's still problematic. If there's been a price drop, not knowing this auctioneer too well since you left, he's got who knows. But I would wager a guess that the reserve is probably on guide, and I think if I was going to buy this, I would probably go to. I'd be kind. I'd go to 40 grand. I wouldn't trade it. I would hold it because it's very little capital output. You're not really going to get a mortgage at that level, so it's a cash buyer anyway. And I could get that let. I mean, and what would you get on a 2-bed flat there? £500-600 a month?
650.
650. I mean, the return is sitting there. It's got money written all over it, but. Do I think someone who isn't aware of looking at a TR1 form or getting their solicitor to review the legal pack pre-auction, would they go to a 50 grand like Piotr says? I think, yeah, possibly, but I think good money says go to the guide price and don't get any higher. So that's what I think. It's going to sell. It's going to sell.
Oh, nice.
I think 42,400.
Interesting. So this is the best bit when you get to go last. Right? You get to listen to all the knowledge around the
You
table.
get to go in 200 pounds below PR.
Yeah, you've got the auction detectives that have given you all the information so you can just make a quick decision. No, it's a brilliant chat, and a couple of things that have stood out to me which are really important, but auctions are caveat emptor, sold as seen, right? And I see this property as a risk, a number of risks. One, we don't know who's there. We don't know if they want to stay there. We don't know what's inside the property. It hasn't sold at the last auction. And then you've got this whole issue of not being able to flip it for at least 12 months. Now, we know that, and we've discussed that, but lots of people that are going to attend to view this property perhaps won't know that. And if they don't engage with a solicitor to read the TR1 and see that there is this anti-embarrassment overage type clause, it could be a bit of a problem for them. However, all of that being said, my gut feeling says that, and I don't know the area as well as this chap down the end here, my gut feeling says that because it's the second time round, or maybe the third time round, I'm not sure. Second time round, there's been an auction balled up before. All of the local residents know about this property, and there typically becomes a bit of a negative connotation when properties haven't sold at auction. People are thinking, why hasn't that sold? Perhaps people know who's living in there already. So I'm going to, again, be a bit controversial perhaps and say I don't think it's going to sell. And that's interesting because for this chap down the end, you might be able to get in and pick this up and add it to your
knock on the door
and win back that money that you lost on the last. I think where it went wrong.
I think you're right. I think it will fail to sell. I would pay 30. If I knew that was available at 35,000, again, we don't know where the reserve is.
Yeah.
I would pay 35.
But this
for
time you
that
wouldn't do it up and sell it. You'd hold it for 12
hold it
months
for 12
and sell
months.
it on the 13th
Yes.
month. How about that?
The key thing would be to secure it,
Yeah.
get in. Is someone in there or they're not? If someone's in there, try and form some form of formal tenancy with them. If not, just leave them in there for 12 months. And then
Ollie,
sell it
if this was in the southwest, would you do the same thing? Not necessarily just at the same value, but generally.
If it was out of the northwest.
Yeah, so out of your area, if it was in the southwest.
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's obviously a convenience factor being in the northwest, but at that sort of level, with the open market value being circa 100, 120 vacant possession, that is a buy for a trade, in my opinion, at that
Yeah,
level.
but you're doing it in a very clever way. The only thing I'd say about Piotr's point about him thinking that it might sell for 50, I'd say that you would have had no chance pre-2024. Yeah. But because we are in 2024 for sort of today's audience, and we are seeing that retail market come back in, I think there's also a bit of a time thing here where, yes, it went unsold before, but I've seen stuff that's gone unsold, and just because of the timing, it sold for way more than what even the guide price was. So I still think it's going to go unsold, but I still think Piotr's got an actual potential.
30, 35, I got it written down.
No, I said it will go unsold. I said it will go unsold, but it will be post-auction sale around 30 to 35. That's what they're
Watch
negotiating.
the recording back. Did Saif say it was going to go unsold, or did he say 35?
But I think there's also there's a chance that it might sell for way more than what we think it is. But pre-2024, I would have said no chance. So
The market is stronger in January this year than it was in December when it was last offered. Just before Christmas, there was a lot of negativity out in the press. It could
catch its market.
It could catch its market. It could perform.
I disagree,
It could do.
I think they may have been able to do that if they changed auction house, change the photo, mix it up, do something a bit different.
tell us what you think. Tell us what you think. What do you think it will sell for? Do you think it will sell at all? And also, I know some people that have looked at this already before because they've been speaking to me about it, but no one actually knows about what you mentioned about the TR1. So that's really interesting to disclose to people, because even I didn't know about that as well.
Actually, can I change my...
Cool. I think that's it.